Please support this channel by subscribing and leaving comments. Stay well, stay safe.
Our main speaker, this is Datus Perry, and he comes down to us from Carson, Washington, and he's 69 years old? 79 years old. 79 years old, And he comes with Lillian, sits over there, and she's a real nice lady. Say hello to her when you get a chance. Are you getting any of this fun?
Yep.
Okay, well, with that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Datus then. All right. Come back.
Everybody's been eating and thinking about eating. Why don't we start out here and ask what this Sasquatch eats? Herbs, berries, fruit, nuts. Stems of the nibble. They chew and let the leaves fall on the ground. Leaves, grass, the tender part, and hazelnuts, all nuts. Fine and look like peanut butter in their dropping. They eat lilies or aspirin. Wild ginger, cascara berries for laxative, blackberries, all kinds, salal etc. for iron, blueberries, and 50% of the blueberries are good, huckleberries, Oregon grape berries, and new leaves of the Oregon grape. Cherries, always swallowing the pits and stems, apples, pears, prunes, peaches, apricots, pits, skins, stems, and all. Seldom eat red berries, except strawberries and thimbleberries and salmonberries. They eat vegetables too, squash, melons they can get from people's gardens and so on. Corn, grain, and wild rice from marshes. Carrots and potatoes from abandoned gardens or maybe a pretty good garden. Leaves, Oregon grape, and willow. Fireweed, blackberry, tender shoots, goldenrod, wild ginger, termites, and large angleworms that long. Deer, birds, rodents, rabbits, mountain beaver, and regular beaver, some lizards and snake meat, and frog legs, fish, salmon, crawfish, and freshwater mussels, freshwater clams. Now, that's a pretty good diet, I think. Anyway, so much for that. And I have
So far you don't have man down there. That's kind of nice.
shoot up and drop it down. Get rid of it.
They might, but they haven't found it yet.
I took a young man into the mountains one time. He was a friend of Lillian and I. He was interested in rabbits that Lillian was raising, and he wanted to become a rabbit raiser. So he showed up one day, and I was just getting ready to go to the mountains and stay all night by myself. I was taking two poodle dogs. Well, he said, you know, I'd really like to know if there really was such a thing as a Bigfoot. I said, you landed here just the right time. Why? Well, I'm getting ready to go out and stay all night. You're only 16 years old, you need your dad's permission then. Okay, I can get it. So we took off. And I picked him up at his home and with his sleeping bag and a can of soup, and we headed out. We left the car about a half mile from his place, a little bit farther from our place, and we hit an old road that had been abandoned on the west side of Wind River. And finally it became not more than a trail. And there seemed to be no deer tracks in it, and I noticed, I said, look, this looks like a path more than a trail. It's not chopped up, you know, it's packed down like big feet are doing. Yeah. Well, you could charge it up to bears too, probably, but we'll soon find out maybe. So I told him what we plan on doing is to make our camp and see what happens in the night, and then in the morning we'll scout around the back country back here, check out a few trails, and come back to camp and eat, and then we'll go and pack up and we'll hit the trail back home. And we'll just go a little ways, and then we'll flop down all at once and hide, and just lay there quiet. And can you do that? Can you be quiet? Oh yes, I can do that. So we did all those things, and we come back to the chosen spot, and we flopped down and laid still for about 5 minutes, and he started talking. And it was an old road bed where we were laying and had moss on it. And there was short ferns standing around 3 feet high on both sides of the road. The road was sloping up on one side and down towards the river on the other. And the poodle dogs laid against the ferns there, and there was a big white fir tree standing over about 6 feet from the ferns. Down the hill, it was about that big around. And everything was quiet. We could hear the river running down there about 300 feet from us. Our camp was back that way about 400. So nothing happened. Kids started to lose faith in the plan. So he, after talking a while, he decided that he was going to go home. Yeah, he hadn't seen his dad for quite a while. He's going to go back and visit with him. That was quite a ways, and I told him, you're going through this timber alone. It might be kind of rough. You never know. It's going to be hot when you get down there in the valley, and why don't you just wait a while and go out with me, and then it'll be cool when we get out of here. Heck with it. I don't think there's any such a thing as a Bigfoot. I'm going on down and see my dad. Okay. So, poodle dogs, they lay in there pretty sleepy. They've been on guard all night at the camp, and they just lay there sleeping. Then he gets up and walks away and bids me goodbye. And I'm laying there. I'm going to stay a while. Sometimes if somebody gets up and leaves, Bigfoot might think everybody left and come around checking. So he was evidently having some kind of an idea near there, because this boy come back and he said, I think I'll wait and come out with you like you suggested. Okay. So, okay. I can be quiet. He laid down quiet. 15 minutes. What do you think happened? Right down behind those dogs, within about 5 feet of the dogs, a limb sounded like a fir limb that big around and was dry, broke with a big bang. We hadn't seen a fern move, we hadn't heard a twig snap, we hadn't any indication of anything putting pressure on a fir limb right there, right behind the dog. The dogs didn't even. They were just calm. And when that snapped, I'd already warned them about this stuff. We'd had this sort of thing happen before, and I told them whenever it might happen, it was to lay right there and be quiet. And then they did, like what they're supposed to do. And now that sounds kind of funny, but it's not hard to teach a dog not to go after Bigfoot, I'll tell you that. They get that idea by themselves. Anyhow, I said, there he is. Jump up and look at him. And I wanted him to see it without me looking at it. And he's going to be telling me about it. So he jumps up, he looks, and whirled around to me, big smile on his face, and motioned for me to come. And I said, no, you go ahead and look at it. You're the one that's going to see this one, and you're going to tell me all about it. And what was it, a bear? Oh no, and it was upright, and it went around that tree. I just saw it go around the tree. Well, go that way fast, and you'll see it go to the next tree. It's going to try to keep that tree between you and I, between him and you and I. And so he did go over, and he did see it go around the next tree. Now I said, come back this way quick, and you might see it again. And he said, yeah, there it goes. It's going down by the river. I said, which way is it going? Up the river or down the river? Our camp was up the river, and I figured it'd probably go back up, checking out our camp, see? Yeah, it's going back up the river. What is it, a bear? No, it's tall, a man, like, and it's got legs and arms and a head, and it's going. And, yeah, boy, he turned around and he says, boy, he says, that's really something. He says, I got to see a Bigfoot. That's really a Bigfoot, and I know they're out here now. And here's his statement. This boy wrote a statement here. It says, Shadell Garber. Gives his address in Milwaukee, Oregon. And Datus took me up to the northwest of Carson on the Wind River. I and Datus saw a Sasquatch, Chad Garber. He planned and executed a maneuver that showed me a Sasquatch, Chad L. Garber. I've been told by people that you cannot take somebody out and show them a Bigfoot. Well, I have done it. There it is. And so, that's that story. Anyway, well, if I'd have got up and looked, that would have been my 13th sighting. But it wasn't. I'll let him have that one. I said, baloney, there's no such thing as a Bigfoot. Oh, yes, there is. Couldn't tell him any different now. So,
What do you mean when you say you train the dogs to, they don't even, they just lay there and don't move?
they didn't move. They have had, been laying under my sleeping bag in a blind, and I was in there asleep around midnight. The Sasquatch broke a limb outside the blind, stepping on it. Dogs wanted to go. They just exploded and wanted to go right out and eat him up, you know. I caught them before they ever got 6 inches from my point. I had them right there, and I said, get back under there and stay there. And don't you ever go after one of those things again. And they never did. And they always, when they come around, they come to me and scratch my legs to let me know something was in the area. And I couldn't figure it out for a while. Then I finally see one watching me. And had these different situations at different shelters I've had, and the dogs have been there. And two of those two poodles got killed, and by getting run over in a truck. And a new one now, and it's a Japanese poodle, and it's got smart too. It has seen Sasquatch 2 or 3 times. We were followed by a Sasquatch one time too, and that was easy to train that dog. And have a big pit bull Doberman female, and she goes with me in the mountains a lot. She don't chase deer, and it's not easy to train them not to chase deer. They go and look at them, they maybe bark at them a little bit. Anyway, after they've seen a Bigfoot, they're not too anxious to go out chasing anything. They get awful scared of the Bigfoot.
Is it always in one location that you see these, or is it different mountain ranges you've been on? Or is it just in...
I can't hear you.
Oh. Is it just in one location you keep seeing them all the time, or is it on different mountain ranges or different...
I've been around a lot in different areas. I'll tell you as I go along where these sightings are.
All right.
That one was, those two sightings were right west of our ranch in Carson, where Blind is and where I took the boy was about 2 miles north of where my blind is. My blind is pretty much rotted down now. I took some other boys up there a short time ago and not much left to it. And I spent several years of my life after I had a heart attack. I worked in the wool mill and I was a journeyman machinist before I even got there, and I was doing welding and lathe work and all kinds of building up shaft and turning them to size and all that, you know. And I had a lot of welding to do that had wool on the parts, and I just quickly burned it off before I go ahead and grind it ready for the weld. And this burning wool, and they had a burner right outside the door of the shop where they burned wool just to get rid of excess short fiber stuff, and the smoke was drifting through the shop. Well, this burning wool is producing 5G deadly poison gas, and we didn't know it. And we had about 4 guys die right there, not all at once, but like every year or two we had somebody die, and they was all having heart attacks. And that's what got me. I had a heart attack, but I got out of it slightly, a little bit easier than they did. And I lost a muscle inside my heart, and I had to strengthen up my heart by taking a lot of hiking. So I went to the mountains, and every time I'd have some time off, I'd go take a walk. I could walk and stop and then rest and sit in the shade, and I could just go do what I wanted to do about how fast I wanted to travel. A different road running or road walking, you could stop any time in the hills. Then I saw a bear, and I saw a deer, and I saw things follow me, and all kinds of stuff. And then I saw cougars. And then I started seeing Sasquatch again. Well, I'd already seen tracks when I was 12 years old, up on the coast near the Olympics. And my uncle had seen tracks in Cedar Swamp area back of Cape Horn, Washington, down up here, down Washington. And he was cruising timber on the snow, and he said, he came back out after he'd been in there in about 2 hours. He came back out. He said, I didn't appreciate the company I had right there. I didn't know who it was, but he had a feel of it home. So he didn't stick around. So then I went to California. I'd been in a shipyard and through shops and all that. And was an engineer on tugboats up and down the Columbia River and the Willamette River and down to Young's River and Young's Bay, Astoria and around, dragging feeders and barges and all that stuff around. I was an engine room engineer and several different tugs. Anyhow, I was due for some rest, so I'm going to hike around in the hills. That's when I started finding tracks in my trail that I was making. Nice trails, so I have a nice place to walk. And so these tracks were amazingly large to me. They were suddenly finding 17-inch track, 8 inches wide from ball to foot, 7 inches across the toe area, 4 inches across the heel. I didn't want to meet that guy. So I backtracked him. Found out where he come down over a side hill. And that was right there. About a mile or 2 miles at the most from our ranch, Carson. I kept taking these hikes and my heart kept getting stronger. Kept trying to eat right, you know. Lillian is real faithful. She helped me through a lot of hardship and helped build me back up. And I'm doing a lot better now. I'm on a new diet. So I'm struggling along trying to have a few more Bigfoot sightings and maybe I can get past 80 years old. I don't know. You might never know. So I'm planning on doing some cave work yet this year and some more trail traveling. I've been out in the last week or so. I've seen elk and coyotes. It's fun getting around the field, but rather tiring too. But anyway, I went to California after I got off the Columbia River. I got froze out of there in the wintertime. I got pneumonia when I was on a tugboat. It took me a month to get over it. So after I got over it, I went to California and I took a millwrighting job in a sawmill down here and I moved in a bunch of machinery for building a machine shop. And I rebuilt that sawmill for them and they got it up to cutting pretty good. And then while they're doing all this, another outfit moved in and bought all the timber out from under them. So they gave up, they burned it down, I guess. Anyhow, we had a hard time. We saved the machine shop. Oh boy.
So how many times have you seen Bigfoot, Datus?
Well, if you paid attention, you'd have,
Did I miss that, did I?
Yeah, 13.
I saw him 12 times. I could have had my 13th, but I passed that one up.
When was the last one?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's have a little question for you a little later. I'll go on and ramble around. So anyway, I went to California and I took this job in a sawmill. And so when I got out of there, well, I took a job working with an engineering company that did surveying. So I just took this brush whacking job. And while I was working in the sawmill, I built myself a little knife like this, see? And I did pretty good on that bushwhacking. One day, we went down the hill and we were going to, three of us were going to relocate a pipe that was missing. So we went down there and the engineer said, you guys take it slow. I'm going to be real slow getting down the hill. I'm going to carry this transit, so I got to be real careful. So he starts down the steep hill. We're standing there watching him down. And he come to an oak tree and he stepped over it. And when he got his foot on the ground, he looked over that way and he took off in that direction. It was like one of these cars taking off and dumped the clutch all along. He was going. Boy, he was going. Still hanging on to that transit, straight out over stumps and brush and logs. The place had been burned off there at one time, and for about 3 acres. He had pretty good chance to do a lot of hurdling. So we're standing there watching him go, and the other guy said, it's too early in the morning to go crazy. And I said, hell yeah, I did. But that guy didn't go crazy. He got scared. He saw something big he'd never seen before. So I went down where this log was, and I had that knife. I felt safe enough. That was the only weapon we had in the crowd. So he got going way out there and out of sight behind some fir trees. I didn't see anything where he had looked. So I ran out to catch him and I caught up with him. He's out there in a state of shock. He's standing there with that transit on his shoulder and he's staring right back at that place where he looked. And he's staring and I come up and I said, what did you see? And he didn't say a thing, he just kept staring. And then I yelled at him. He still didn't come out of it, and I got right up and looked him right in the eyes and smacked my hands towards his eyes and yelled at the same time when he come out of it. And he said, I didn't see anything. And I said, you can guess what I said. Anyhow. And so, he says, can the guy hurry if he wants to? I said, sure, but when you're going to hurry, well, let me carry that transit for you. So, well, he says, we're in a hurry, he said. Yeah? Okay. He said, we're in a hurry. And so he tried to run off down the hill and make out like he's still in a hurry. So, the other guy caught up with me and wanted to know what he said, so all right, well. Anyway, we got down to the creek. This is a little redwood creek. And watching him throw buds in the water, and he ain't too crazy, is he? No, not too crazy. No. Well, we found this here section corner we're supposed to locate. He set up his transit on it. And I got heading back up the mountain. I had to go right past that spot where he had gotten scared. And I was leading with this machete chopping brush out of the way. And the other guy, Joe, whatever his name was towing the tape. And the engineer had his transit set up back here, and he'd been figuring it out all the way up the hill. And he knew he was hanging on to the tape. And, okay, he said, that right there at the end of your tape. I got it. He says, that's where it's at. Focus sliver in the ground. And we just got past a big bunch of coast huckleberry that grows tall canes down in California and along the coast. That's the way this stuff grows. Different varieties of huckleberries when they get up here. And so we all walked past this bunch of brush. And he set up his transit and he said, dig for that pipe. Well, I couldn't find any pipe digging around with that machete, and didn't hit any steel. And he got to reading his book, and that's the right place, all right, because there's a tree here and a tree there and a tree there. So many degrees, so many feet, so and so. Okay, Perry, go back down the hill and go down about 50 feet and scrounge around clockwise and see if you find that pipe in the brush. And Joe, you go up here and you scrounge around, and I'll go up here and I'll scrounge around and see if you find that pipe. Well, I didn't find it, and I come back up in front of that brush, and I stood right in front of it, and I bent a rhododendron bush. I bent it over, and chopped it off with that machete. One swipe, and the ground began to shake, and the bushes were shaking at the top a little bit, and the ground was going like this. And I stepped back, and I could hear brush busting out in the timber on the other side of that place. And I yelled at this engineer and said, the big heavy man just ran out of here. And he turned around and saw me come around and down and grabbed his transit. He takes off for the Jeep, yelling at me to get the heck out of there. I said, hell no, I'm going to see what he had for a bed, or what he's got in that brush. No, come on out of there now, that's an order. Okay, I'm coming. Right down on my knees I come. And I went right in that darn brush, and I looked it over. See, I didn't give a damn if I lost my job. I'm going to see that safe a little bit. I didn't care if he tried to tie a rope on me. He wasn't going to get me out of there. So I saw him. I was in Bigfoot's bed seconds after he left it. And there wasn't no stink. And there wasn't no stink in no time. There was a dropping over to one side. He had a lounging area. He had a bed dug out of the ground along on the north side of it. And it looked like they had planted bunches of seeds around in gobs, around in this big egg-shaped circle, and had an opening on the end towards the timber. And had this bed there, and it was about, dug out about that wide, and about like what it takes to put that model of Bigfoot in. And had all the dirt up the end for a pillow. And it had this deer hide laying in there. And the deer hide was laying there with the fur up. The meat and fat was on the bottom side. And there wasn't no grass or anything in it there, padding or moss, and it was just dug out. He laid right on the dirt and what roots were exposed. And there's his pillow, that pile of dirt. And, I'm the only guy that's in a Bigfoot bed that quick after we left it. And I picked that hide up, and there's nothing wrong in my nose. I could smell the fresh meat on that hide. There was fat, lots of fat on it. It looked like it split it down fat, come out to here, and run off, and left the hoofs attached to all four leg skins. The hoofs, all four hoofs are attached. Handles for a pig, basket, a blanket. They use it to camouflage to sneak up on deer. See? He puts on a deer hide and sneaks up, crawls on his hands and knees along the brush, slowly sneaking up on a deer. They left that, and I thought about taking it for proof, and then I thought, well, I shouldn't do it. It's his first, and then how many game wardens would believe a story like that? So I'm not coming out of here with no deer hide without any meat on it. It has a little meat on it. I mean, I ain't going to get enough meat out of it to make it worth it, you know. So I left it there.
Was that a sighting? Did you see it jump up and move?
I didn't actually see it. No, but the engineer saw it. And so I don't know whether that one had what kind of bristle it had or not. But
And he described it as, what did he say when he saw it? The fella? Oh, I thought he said get out of there. It was,
the engineer told me to get down there. Yeah, he saw it. But that guy wouldn't tell us nothing. He wouldn't talk. He was too damn scared to in the first place. And in the second place, he was afraid this noise about this would get to the office and we'd all lose our job. He actually told us that. He said, don't tell nobody about this, or we might all lose our jobs. I think we've been in the woods too long or something. Now, one day, after Mount St. Helens had blown its top, there had been a lot of talk about a big, rugged Bigfoot being out by Mount St. Helens when it was starting to shake out there, and had picked up corners of trailers and shook them and trying to scare people out of that part of the country. And he was trying to scare people the hell away from that volcano. But they were too darn dumb to catch on. Some of them stayed there in spite of him, and some got scared and heck and moved out fast. Left some of their things, their spare wheels, their food, and he didn't seem to be interested in really trying to get their food either. He wanted to see them get out of there. Yeah, he got out of there, and I saw him down by the Columbia River. He was standing by an oak tree early one morning. I was driving on Highway 14, and there he was over there, and the dirt was all ripped up down the hill. And what did that? It looked like big tracks or something at the bottom of every place where it was ripped. So I slowed way down and stopped on the highway, looking at the bottom of the hill. And up a ways there was a lake there, and up a ways from the lake there was a big oak tree, and he was standing there like that. Now you're seeing, I drew in those hoofs on that deal there, and I saw that where you're standing by that oak tree, yeah, the limb on the oak tree was about even with his shoulder, about like here somewhere. And I took Ray over there the other day, and he photographed me under that tree, and the first time I went there, after the thing had been there, I picked up this beaver stick, and Ray, he picked up a stick too to measure with. But anyway, I had previously measured with this stick, and it says on this stick 4 2/3 times the length of that stick up to the limb that was by his shoulder. 4 2/3.
There's a yardstick behind you on the wall.
3, 4 and 2/3. Put him 9'4". We measured with a steel tape later. It was 9'4" to there. 9'4". So we figured the head and bristle and all on his head, put him right around 11 feet. So that was my crude way of making. This is my crude way of getting a picture out of it. Anyway. I probably won't get around to tell you about all my sightings and other things that happened where there wasn't any sightings. Damn close to getting a sighting and all that stuff. So, I'm going to show you my chart here in a minute.
Was he wearing a deer hide when you see
What
him?
he looked like to me was that he had a hide on that was
Okay.
not this. It was I couldn't see the hoofs, in other words. I've drawn this in to just explain how they tie the hoofs on the chest and front. This was his back here, just ignore the hoofs. And then I've drawn his face in here to see how it could fit in there. Anyway, I could see his legs from where I was on the highway. I could see this hide ending about midway between the knees and the buttocks, right about like that. And I could see that it was long stringy hair. And samples of this long hair have been taken from in Oregon by Cascade Locks. They have been taken several places up by Mount Hood. Mount St. Helens. And I don't know, a few more places. Lewis River. And down by Woodland. And nobody can seem to figure out how that could be Bigfoot. And they haven't found out yet whether it's a muskox or not. But the color of the thing, as it was, blonde down the middle, and brown here, and to reddish brown down here, and a cape on it, indicates to me that that was a hide taken off of a muskox in the Arctic. And they have them in northern Alaska right now. They've been moved in there some time ago. And he could have got one from there. Or he could have got one from people, who knows, that might have had one. This is the front of my catalogue. There's a photograph of my model that's upstairs. I have a couple of bear pictures that everybody wants to say, oh, you saw a bear. Well, you don't know what a bear looks like, it's time to learn. So, that's about what a foot looks like. That's about what a hand looks like. Proportional. And these are some sketches I made. This is a photograph of a doll somebody rigged up with their fingertips off a rubber glove.
Obviously seen
I
it.
drew a few pictures. These are sketches of my sightings. Some are only at the top of the head. Some are still on the top of the head. Some was legs sticking out of the brush. There was my first 2 poodle dogs that learned not to chase them. They got a lesson about that right there. This brown one, he was up about 6 inches from that heel. This picture here was sketches as I was sitting in my boat on the Quesnel River. And I was on the Quesnel River and she's standing on the riverbank looking me over. And I got up to 20 feet of her. And she stayed right there looking at me through the leaves of this quicken aspen tree. And I worked my way back and forth across the river and got a real good look at her. Eyeballs are black and so on. And I saw this one, a bunch of scrub oak up the Columbia River on Highway 14. And this was my last sighting, a really good one. And she was wearing deer hide with the hooves tied right here. on the front of the chest. See? And she had the hooks, skins come around, tied one single knot, and the hook hung straight down on this side and over that way on that side.
Where was that?
That was up by my dig up there in the mountains where I'm trying to get in that lava tube.
That was
She
in,
followed me for about 3/4 of a mile before she got there.
was that in the winter also? Cold time?
There was in the deer hunting season and approaching winter. These are sketches of what that one on the riverbank in Quinnell looked like. And I made my model and showing it to people here over at 8 Caves. Clippings and stuff from different places. Here's a place where they were digging pipes. They take out big rocks, I'm telling you. Take 4 men to lift one of them rocks out. They're digging the rocks out to get at the pipes that lived in the rocks. You almost say, Doug, here's a land surface. This was all rock here. This rock is slide came down and out. These are not, the slide came this way. It came that way and piled up like that, see. Then it went down some ways. Anyway, they have dug, and that's me standing there. They have dug all that out to get at a few pipes that were hibernating down in the rocks. There's a sketch that was given to me by Paul Freeman, and he said it was yellow and brown and stuff. Now, I might have been wearing that same muskox hide, but he was just scared he didn't know what to think of it first. I don't know what he saw for sure. This guy's looking at tracks at different sightings. There's another picture that Paul Freeman gave to me. Yeah.
Who's Paul Freeman?
Here's a guy that saw a Sasquatch up around Walla Walla. He lost his job and everything else, or quit or something. There was a guy, he thinks he started it all. He went around making all kinds of wooden tracks and selling to people to go out and fool people with. See? And that kind of baloney is doing a very injustice to Bigfoot and us people that are trying to help him by proving they're there and get laws passed to protect him and stuff. Now this guy who drew this picture was one of the best artists you could ever get to do anything on that. But he didn't get it right. He's going by what other people, he never saw one himself. He's going by what other people told him. And so anyway, I made some sketchy, but they're probably not right either. They're had brown on them and stuff. There's that photography thing. This film was found and then we developed it and made a big picture out of it. It was filmed about that wide, 35 millimeter. It was found in an old house over by Estacada. Anyway, I made a sketch here, just as accurate as I could come up with what I had been seeing in the hills. And the last 2 or 3 sightings I had, every time I see one of these, first thing I think of, who the hell put my model out here? Who put my model out here? It's down home in the garage. That's the way it looks. And I got some sketches of how they might look from the side, or what they might look like. They might have a hide on their back, or they might have somebody said they may have a kind of a brown mantle of their own on it. Well, I drew it kind of figuring, wondering, figuring. As far as the top knot sticking up there is concerned, there ain't no doubt in my mind about that, because I have seen that every time I had a sighting of a Bigfoot. And that's me before I got so old as I am now. At different times, like April 5th, no, not 1984. Sasquatch, a quarter mile west of Dillingham Ranch, screeching, "Yee," or something. Shook up all the dogs in the neighborhood. About 4-minute intervals. They're screeching. They seem to be moving away northwest into the mountains. Well, anyway, that's where it goes. And sometimes they come by, they're screeching or yodeling, and they go over the hill, and around midnight, I think they're yodeling at me. They've seen me so damn many times, they know where I live. Everything else, they're yodeling at me, tell me they're leaving. That one that I saw last, it had hoofs hanging on her chest. She followed me, I knew she was following me. These are sketches of different meetings we had there in Salinas County were trying to straighten out a law. They jumped up and passed a law against shooting one person. They put too big a fine on it, they couldn't make it stick, so they had another meeting, and I got in on that and I brought my model in. And Renee Hendon showed up too, and this other feller, this is Ray Hendon here, and this is a Cryptozoological Society director, Eric Beckjord. He's showing a few tracks. Anyway, we just helping convince them that they need a good sound law and so on, not to shoot them. Here's some other stuff that's been built up. We're putting a paper here, you see ears out here and all that, and flathead like that and all that stuff. You know darn well these guys built that baloney up. So, these are right up the gut when I was going to do a seminar at a high school out at Hood River. And then I took my picture when I was doing the seminar. And I had a lot of junk here and notes about them. There's inside the cave. That's kind of a cave I'm working to get into. I figure there's around 3 miles of it up there where I'm working. I don't expect to see any Bigfoot in there, but then they may be, there's caves above the upper end of where I'm working that may have Bigfoot, because I flew over there one winter and you can see big tracks leading away from a big open faced cave up there in the snow. This picture here was taken way up in the Yukon, I guess, somewhere there. Dawson Creek, Sasquatch was sighted along the pipeline. The pipeline crew was out there servicing the pipeline, and Sasquatch kept coming around and wondering what you're up to or wanting my hand out. This is a sketch I drew of a track of this possibly what the Indians called a Maugay. That was a female, young female Sasquatch. And I wondered if it could be a orangutan. No way. Definitely not a bear. There was no claw marks. I found her, she was cutting rotten wood with her fingernails near my camp, within 50 feet of my teepee. And tracked her right there.
Is this the one we had the photo of the poop on?
What's that?
Is this the one that we had the photo of the poop? Right by your camp or your teepee?
the species worked on?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say shit, so I won't.
Well, I wouldn't say that either.
Too late now. How many different
See, and-
names are there?
Anyhow, here's how I got my sightings. I went out and I got a map or two and just used them. Marked down where people had seen them, where tracks had been seen, and so on, where I seen them and so on. I just kept marking them. Now, we live right here. I mean, what are they doing around our place anyhow? Well, we got ducks, chickens, horses, we had cattle at the time, and we had a calf broken through in the middle, and we had 3 pigs swiped, and all kinds of stuff. I began to think, well, heck, I'm right in right place to start. Oh, I got them in the kitchen and everywhere. Visitors, bitches, were just playing around, trying to learn to be an artist. Anyway,
Try to collect them.
now, we gotta get around here and get this over with. It's gonna be midnight before we know what's going on. Does anybody want to hear any more of this guy?
Yes.
Wait a minute, let me restart my tape again. I want to make sure I get that too, huh?
Can you bring that closer to the camera?
We're not even running now, huh?
Start it from the beginning. Anybody want a shade? That's a Sasquatch's razor, I think. Yeah, sure sharp, anyway. They can scrape fat off a hide with that. You can find stones like this in the mountains, you know. Yeah, what kind of stone is that? Never did catch one packing anything like that around. But,
Petrified
the
wood.
possibility that they can use something like that. They may even have used it.
Will you tell us about that tape before you started?
Okay. This tape was given to me by a friend that had got it from another friend and had it from another friend and so on. It had been redone from a phonograph record, from a tape, to another tape, another phonograph record, I don't know. Anyway, it's getting kind of old now. So, this was in the mountains in California. Can't think fast enough. Getting dry. Gotta wet my brain down. I mean to make everybody thirsty, but
You did.
Did you, this all rewound right from the beginning where the talking was on the tape?
what was that for? Well, this was at a sheep camp up in the mountains in California. Oh, he'll tell you where it is. I'll let him tell you. That's a female there. I've heard of him. I always got it. Never saw him. Saw him later, yeah. That's a male. They're awful cautious about getting around a man.
Got a deeper voice. Man.
The female trying to tell him to go down and get that food that they put out for him, and he didn't want to go down. Broken record. Get past here. This microphone is in a tree up the hill from where this old sheep camp was, and these guys were standing there trying to get this feeling and tape going. We got the tape, they never did get a picture. Trying to talk them down. That old broken photograph right here, yeah, the scratching of it gets. This was in the high Sierras, up several thousand feet. Talking about up, I got a granddaughter and trying to climb Mount Everest right now. I keep thinking about her. Boy, I wish she had never gone. I didn't have nothing to say about it.
On side one, you heard what is probably swapping behavior. Such swapping display, followed by what seems to be two creatures arguing between themselves. Then a series of more conciliatory vocalizations. You've also heard the voice of one of my companions calling out to the creatures, and what sometimes appears to be their prompt response. For the recording, the stereophonic cassette recorder was located within the shelter, with a wire leading to a remote microphone taped to a tree outside, several yards uphill. The voice of my companion was coming from inside the shelter. The voice of the creatures was coming from outside, more than 30 yards away, and beyond my view from the shelter's roof, from within the big stand of timber uphill. From this you can gauge the dimensions of the vocalizations, the awesome magnitude of the sounds they reached our ears. Even though they seem very close to the microphone, they're actually far away, perhaps even as much as 150 feet in my own judgment from having heard them firsthand. In all, on this night of October 21st, 1972, a CBC Bigfoot creatures vocalized and carried on for more than an hour and a half before another sighting of the game is wandering off. As evidence from their huge footprints the following morning, not once did they step into a clearing or a area where they would have first seen and photographed. Yet they had moved about with apparent ease. At one point, almost soundlessly approaching behind the several trees, within a few yards of the shelter's door, and the hole in the wreck where I maintained my post. If they wanted to bring harm, there was every opportunity. Instead, it seemed as if they were better convincers of us, and drawn up by curiosity, or perhaps hunters, even though the food with a few apples and a pot of two-flavored drinks was not taken. Without efforts to make friends with them to any avail, listen now to another sequence of sound, as the same gentleman previously heard stands beside the shelter outside in my view from the rear, and strikes up an extraordinary exchange.
They do a lot of fishing too. There's usually 3 notes. We go to 3 notes, 3 whistles. We know they can count to 3.
say, there will be little doubt soon that the creatures, whatever they might be, were planning to us. Things that are always recognized in primitive rhythm and blues, or as it were, rhythm and law.
If you're enjoying all this rare and unique content, please show your support by subscribing and leaving comments. Stay safe, stay well.